Hey, welcome back everybody to Tactics Ogre Reborn. As we just fought Vice, our path has been cut off. All we can do is continue forward to Chrysaros, which is where we're headed. Luckily, Chrysaros is also a city, and this battle is not all that difficult. So we should be able to quickly move our way through this, what should be easy battle. As you can see, we have the high ground. And once we do that, we'll have access to training area, area, of course, to increase or to upgrade our weapons. So shouldn't be too hard, I'm hoping anyways. And we should get out of here with a pretty easy victory. Probably want to include our range units such as mages and archers. I have to figure out what I'm doing with Annie. If I want to leave her as a soldier long term, or if I want to change her over to something like a ninja, or I'm thinking about maybe even changing her over to a berserker or knight. I'm not really sure which.
The hero of Goliath shows himself. It's as Vice predicted.
Hooray!
How'd you figured for Denham's man? Out scouting all alone? You've courage, I'll give you that.
But he's not at all anyone I know. He's not a part of my party.
You should take better care of your friends, lest they fall into the wrong hands.
You have the wrong understanding. That man is not mine.
Who is that knight? Do you know him, sister?
They're captive? No. And you've sent out no scouts, have you?
No.
Take him away. We've work to do here.
I like how they always make it look like the warriors are just like sort of underlings, when in a lot of cases there are other. You can see there's two more knights in front of him that are also his subordinates. So I don't know, whatever. Alright, let's shoot you with my big long bull gun. Hooray! Not a lot of damage, I know. We'll just keep going though. So if yep, archer in the party, that we've already got 500 experience. We've already got, I only have one archer, two. That's okay. We're gonna be running her the rest of this game. I refuse. She was way too good in the PSP version for me not to run Aerosol. And so, yeah, she's going to continue to be my go-to archer going forward. Depending on which way this berserker goes, I'm going to try to hopefully lure him towards what is our right side, their left. Well, I guess it'd be our left side, their right side. But I'm speaking more along the lines of the player character who's looking down on this battlefield, that is. Concentrate! Used to be a game back in the day. I don't know if it was on television. I imagine it was. I remember it from an old big-ass floppy disk that was back in the late 80s, early 90s. There's a game called Concentration. What I liked about Concentration is you would unlock blocks, which would reveal a puzzle, okay? And that was the fun part for me, was, unlocking these blocks. But basically, as the puzzle became available, you'd start seeing like little pictures in the background. And eventually you would end up with like a situation like, I plus B plus, like the letter M, and it would be IBM, for instance, just an example. Or, an I figure plus heart And then below might be like a gem. And it'd be like, I love Ruby, you know, something like that. Just an example. Never actually saw this game on a television show network, but then again, we're talking a time period before the internet. Imagine this. Time period before the internet when your cable package had about 30 channels or so, maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more than that. A time period before, you know, every channel was a specialized channel that just sort of clogged up the television network. So you didn't have like a home and garden network. You didn't have like a history channel. You didn't have like a dozen other channels. You know, you had your basics. You had a QVC, which was your shopping network. You had MTV, Nickelodeon, VH1, ESPN came later. Then eventually you got like the Family Channel, but we never had Disney because Disney was sort of like on the higher level channels or whatever, along with like, I don't know. MASH. Gotcha, bitch. Like for television purposes, I don't have television. I don't use it. I don't need it. It's like, oh, do I want to pay $100 plus a month just to have television bundled along with my internet that I'm going to use more often than not, just so I'll have access to a ton of channels I'll never watch, you know? And then you'll get in an argument with the owners of ABC, NBC, or Fox, and basically say, well, we're currently in negotiations with insert company that owns this Time Warner, whatever the ownership company is. And so we're going to black out one of your basic channels, you know, like NBC or ABC. Something that you could, you know, I wouldn't say 100% guaranteed depending on where you live in the country, but you should be able to get like one of them little hand antennas, hook it up to your television that should have some sort of digital converter in it. I mean, that's literally what I did. I went out and bought a digital antenna, which just sits literally on top of a counter over here to my right, and I get the basic channels, ABC, NBC, CBS, and there's a couple other channels I get that I don't really care for, that are kind of like old-timey channels, like, do you remember when Little House on the Prairie was on television? No? Well, too bad. You know, good old-fashioned conservative television. The only thing I really care about for television is watching fucking football, and it's mainly college football on Saturdays and occasionally Thursdays. If I don't know if they still do Thursday games or not, but you know, those games. And then like I don't even care about the NFL till we get to the playoffs. Honestly, I don't care about the NFL. If I happen to tune into an NFL game on a Sunday, you know, it's a bigger surprise to me as it to anybody else. No, I'm not going to pay you a ton of money for something I'm not going to generally watch. I had a very basic cable package with our cable provider prior to me switching over to the internet I have now. And, yeah. I don't know, it's just I find it to be a waste of money particularly insofar as I don't have an abundance of money to be spending. But then again, I kind of set myself up in such a situation. Well, we as a generation are set up in such a precarious situation where I bought my house for like $130,000. I'm paying like $900 a month, and that's way better based on the house that I'm currently sitting in. It's way bigger, way nicer. I mean, I know I own it, so if anything breaks down, it's on me. But I save so much goddamn money by not renting. You know? I mean, for $800, even in Western Pennsylvania, $800 would get me a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment, you know, with a bunch of other people around me. It would be relatively small, and I would be, like I said, paying at least $800 and I wouldn't own anything, you know. So I don't know. We'll see. I might be an idiot. We'll see. Down the road, we may see that I'm the actual idiot, you know. Instead of renting and not owning a house, you know, I look at it as I'm putting equity into my home, which will build and I can then later sell. But then again, I'll have to, my deck, you know, as my stuff starts to wear down, my deck, as example, my windows, you know, I want to replace those. And am I going to get, if I put $1,000, just number, just put $1,000 to replace my windows, okay? Is my house now $1,000 more valuable? No. If I do literally nothing, could the value of my house go up? Yes. Just based on home prices and everything else. Should home prices suddenly start to take a tumble, will the value of my house also tumble? Yes. Can I control that? No. Do I care? No. At least right now I don't care. You know, because I'm not a boomer by any stretch of imagination. I'm not nearly old enough to be a boomer. But sometimes when I talk about when I bought my house, I feel like I got that boomer luck, where like I bought my house for a bag of peanuts and some M&Ms. You know, because I got in the market right about the time when interest rates were low. And the housing market hadn't jumped into the clouds. So, like, you know, I get a valuation on my house from my mortgage company trying to get me to refinance my mortgage with them. Not like as in, hey, would you like to go from a low interest rate to this higher interest rate? But no, they want me to like basically say, well, we noticed that you've got this much extra capital in your house now because when you bought your house, it was worth about $130,000 and it's appreciated in value by, let's say, $25,000 to $50,000. So we believe that your house should be worth about $180,000. So you've got about $50,000 of capital in your house that you're not currently using. Would you like to turn that into a loan? Which, of course, the answer for me is always no. I don't want to turn anything into a loan. I don't, like, you know, I don't own the house outright by any imagination. I'm still have another, you know, 15, 20 years left on my loan, depending on how I pay it, of course. But, like, do I want to double down and replace the deck, but then end up having to pay $200 extra a month or $100 or $50 extra a month for the remainder of my loan? No, fuck that shit. But, I don't know. And you know what I need to do, and it's a little greedy, I'm not gonna lie, but there are other benefits other than strictly monetary. I gotta find myself a person I gotta find a person, you know, that I can spend my life with, because, you know, it's fine and dandy when the only person you gotta take care of is yourself. The only person you gotta worry about is yourself. But god dang, is it lonely. It can be very, I mean, it's like I can eat ice cream for breakfast. Like, yeah, that's nice and all, but like, who, like, at a certain point, it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry, like, you don't have to worry about your favorite cookie disappearing because your wife, girlfriend, children, whatever, eat it while you're at work or whatever. But, like, on the other hand, like, it's very lonely, you know, to, like, you know, particularly if, like, your only human connection is going to work with people. It's like, ugh. But as an addition to that, you know, finding a girlfriend, wife, you know, the ability to have a second income that they would help to pay into, maybe not necessarily the mortgage, but the day-to-day upkeep of the house, like updating the deck, changing the windows, changing, you know, adding furniture, you know, making the house more of a home instead of just like this place I live. I know there'd be a trade-off there as well, where I'd probably have to sell some of my stuff that I have in this house that I kind of want to keep, but at the same time, if you're giving me an option between like, hey, would you like to be alone forever or get rid of your DVDs? I'd be like, I wonder. I don't have a million DVDs. I've got, just looking at a bookcase I have here of DVDs. I've got probably maybe 100, if that. Most of which are, you know, television series that have multiple discs in them and not necessarily like movies. I don't know. What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to, you know, for what you want, you know? Would you give up everything? Depends, you know? I wouldn't give up obviously everything because everything is everything. And, you know, I guess there's worse things to give up than everything, but, you know. But that being said, yeah. Just sort of thinking about it from multiple different angles, you know, obviously the whole companionship, that's nice. The whole money thing, that's nice as well. But, you know, this again is me sort of spitballing. You know, you don't like, if you're a man or a woman and you find yourself a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I can't imagine you want someone who will just, all they do is want to be a stay-at-home person. Now, if you make a ton of money and you live in an area that doesn't necessarily need a high level of income to survive, sure, you want to have a stay-at-home husband, wife, whatever, take care of the kids. That's fine and dandy. But for me, like, you gotta be, if you're not working, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, that might be sort of, I wouldn't say controversial, but, you know, that might not be the traditional way of looking at things, but I just don't know how in this day and age anybody can be considered that bulletproof that when, you know, they have a kid, they can walk into their boss's office and say, hey boss, I just had a kid, I need a raise. And the boss looks at you and goes, well, we understand that you're an important part of this company, and so we're going to give you a $10,000 raise for no other reason than you had a child, because we're afraid to lose you. You know? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of smaller companies out there that are like that, but like, if you said, Chris, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars, and now you're asking for that amount of dollars. I don't know. Let's see here. You're asking for, like, say, a 20 to 30% increase in your salary because you had a kid. And I know the way the statistics work out, it actually makes more sense to give the man the hire than to try to find his replacement. But like, I sort of think about it in terms of like, is anyone truly that irreplaceable other than maybe like your higher ups in your company that are basically making the decisions as to whether or not X or Y happens? But even then, I might argue that they are overpaid in themselves. But I don't know. There are very few people out there that are really worth their salaries. You know, that aren't replaceable is sort of the point I'm trying to get at. You know, obviously, if you have a customer service department, you have nobody to do customer service, you're fucked. Like, it's a vital part of your business. You need customer service people. Go out and get them. You know, I get that. Can't operate without them. But in the same regard, you know, can, you know, Billy Sue or Jonathan Joe do just as well? Probably. Trying to recruit these stupid mages, which requires me to knock them down to a low health, which was not what I wanted you to do there. I wanted you to... I'm gonna have to go backwards. I'm gonna have to... Because I'm clear that Canifus is gonna crit here, or there's a good chance he's gonna crit. So let's do this and not use his overpowered finisher. Yes, I just did a good, what, 80% of his damage. I don't have it. I don't have it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna shield bump. Here comes the shield bump. You can do this. Less damage than your sword. Now he has 8. Which will make it very easy to recruit him. Just have to move my knight out of the way. Unfortunately, I only have my priest, I think, that has the ability to recruit humans. Yeah, that won't work on non-humans. I don't think I have... Nope, don't have it on you either. Definitely don't have it on an archer. So I need Donalto to do this. Unfortunately, Donalto is out of range. Punch. Yeah. Showed you. Still 0%, even though she's at low health. Because I'm not standing next to her, I'm getting such a low percent. He's literally at 8. Thanks. If Donalto gets another turn, he may be able to recruit. I think he can reach there. I should be able to recruit the female mage or the male mage. We'll see which one's better chance. Wolf. Look at that. 117, that's like perfect. So they're like both sub 10 health now. I just need to get someone in there that can heal. Unfortunately, that happened. And I can't go back now, so fuck it. Alright, well, we're going to cut the episode here. Come back. We are going to be doing some more Tactics Ogre. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful day.